I grew up riding my classic Schwinn Stingray bike with the banana seat that could hold one person in the back of the seat and another person on the handlebars. I used to ride that bike up and down the cul-de-sac until it got dark and it was time to go home for dinner. And for the past couple of months, I've been riding an early version of an e-bike that has provided that same sheer joy and excitement every time I got on the bike as it was when I was a kid. There's something special about this e-bike, and it is clearly my favorite since I started riding e-bikes 7 years ago. Hello everybody, this is Matthew Miller, otherwise known as Palm Solo, on the Mobile with Matt channel, coming to you with another e-bike review. And this one has been one of the longest periods of time that I've ridden a bike before I've actually recorded a video. I've had this early prototype version of the new Lectric ONE, which was announced in April, and it's supposed to be shipping, I believe, in July or August, so next month or the month after that. And this is a pre-production model, so there's a few things that aren't final on it. This should be pretty much what you're going to see if you buy this bike. And despite it being an early pre-production model, it's still amazing and outstanding, and I love it as a daily driver. New Lectric ONE is available in only one color, black. And the only variation or option you have is to buy it with the standard battery or an extended range battery, and there's a $200 price difference between those two batteries. Just walk around some of the hardware and spec. This is a typical 6000 series aluminum alloy, of course. The bike weighs in at 55 pounds, which for the size of the bike is actually a bit heavy, but it does have a 330 pound capacity, and the rear rack is capable of holding another 30 pounds. It has a 750 watt motor in it, a rear hub motor as we can see here, with 1310 watts of peak, 85 Newton meters of torque. That amount of torque is something that helps me get up those hills that I'll talk about a little bit later. One thing that's very unusual about this bike is this amazing Pinion gearbox system. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more, but this is a system on this bike that is normally very, very expensive and is usually found on multiple $1,000 bikes. Lectric actually shows this as a value of $1,500. Probably a little bit high to show the value of the bike is only a couple $1,000s, but it is a very expensive component of this bike, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Coupled with that Pinion gear is a Gates carbon drive belt system with 113 teeth. It has a standard battery, which is 48 volts, typical, 10.4 amperes, 500 watt hours, or the extended range, which is 14 amp hours or 672 watt hours. This bike can go up to class 3 with unlocking capability in it. You can certainly look online. There's videos about how to unlock it. It's very easy. It comes by default as a class 2 bike, so pedal assist or throttle up to 20. You can unlock that and get it up to pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour without a problem. Advertised range is 45 miles with the standard battery and 60 miles with the extended battery. I'll talk about that in my riding experiences and what kind of range I saw. It does have hydraulic disc brakes with 180 millimeter rotors, has 20-inch by 2.5-inch tires with reflective strip, very much like we saw recently with the Lectric XP Lite 2.0, same kind of style tires in that. It does have a simple through axle attachment for that front wheel, 5 levels of pedal assist, a left thumb throttle, front and rear lights, which is nice with that back light being a brake light, which I love. It also have removable quick release pedals, which Lectric is using on some of their bikes. It has those metal heavy pedals and they simply pop out like a sock. And like many of the new Lectric bikes, it has a vibrant color display on here. Same 3 buttons that you use to operate the Lectric bike, but that vibrant color LCD sure is nice nowadays. And it does have a USB-A underneath there for charging up your phone if you want to, and that system is IP65 rated. It does also come with UL 2849 for the electrical system safety and 2271 certified for the battery safety. So this is a safe UL certified bike that you can pick up and not have to worry about battery fires and things like that. Just use the charger that it comes with. The controller is simply the typical Lectric 3-button controller, plus, minus, and the power button. It does have big numbers and letters on the display, so it's great for getting out and about. Regular viewers know that I ride up 13 to 15% incline into my neighborhood. And with this bike and the 85 Newton meters of torque, I was able to easily get up that hill without any problems at all. Never had to stop, kept the speeds up. I don't know, it must have been 10 to 12 miles per hour. And I just let that Pinion system automatically change those gears. And I'm really sold on the Lectric ONE for that capability to get up and down any hills I need to, and then everything else. Lately, I've been doing a lot of flat distance testing with the throttle only. On this bike, the throttle is on the left. It's a nice, convenient thumb throttle that's easy to access with your left thumb. But this bike, I really only use the throttle for getting off the stoplight. It was really hard for me with that Pinion system to sit there and just let the throttle only work. Now, if you do use the throttle only, if there's an advertised range of 45 miles with pedal assist, I would say with the throttle, you're talking half or 2/3 of that with throttle only. Unfortunately, I didn't really test that. I may test that on the production model, but I didn't test it on this pre-production model. The Lectric ONE is really set up for pedal assist mode. In order to really put that to the test, I typically go on an annual trip door to door from my house to my office in Seattle, which is 39 miles each way. And this year, since the timing was perfect with May, I decided to take the Lectric ONE on that 39-mile trip. Now, because this is a pre-production model and I wasn't sure what the range would be or not, I did pack along in the handy electric pannier bag, I did pack along an extra battery just to see how things would go. I measured about 28 miles from a fully charged condition, 28 miles on mostly pedal assist level 3, and I had to change the battery out. And then I finished that other 11 miles with about 33% or so of the second battery being consumed. So in my testing, for my weight of 230 plus pounds, the terrain was fairly flat with some hills, a lot of curves. I was able to get about 30 to 35 miles of pedal assist. So Lectric's advertised 45-mile range is probably adequate for the standard that they always test with a 170-pound person on a flat surface. So good job on the range. It's not a super long range type commuter. You know, I'll talk about some of those things, but it is a very good few mile commuter. I also like to do a worst case test. What happens if the battery dies and you have to get home? With this bike, it's fine for short distances, but it is a bit on the heavy side at 55 pounds and those smaller tires and wheels. So you're not going to want to go long distance with it, but it's perfectly capable of going with no battery. I mentioned earlier about this Pinion gearbox that we see here. Now let's talk a little bit about that Pinion gearbox. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit, but I really never heard of anything like this before. Now, I'm not a huge international bike rider or heavy on the bike riding. I love riding my e-bikes. I do have a traditional bike that I like to ride, but I wouldn't say I'm a diehard cyclist. So I had no idea there was such a thing as a enclosed gearbox like this. So all that said, when the Lectric ONE arrived, I was a little intrigued by what this gearbox meant. It has a Pinion C16i 6-speed transmission inside. And what it is, it's a sealed in oil transmission system you don't have to mess with or anything else. And if you go online, it's fascinating to see all of the different gears that are in there and how this operates. It also connects with Bluetooth to a Pinion Smart Shift application that's on your smartphone. And there you can customize some of the preferences for this. Now, there are two buttons on the right side hand grip here, just right there, that you can manually use to shift up and down. However, I went in the app and I put it on automatic shifting, and I rarely ever touch those two buttons. I let the Pinion gear system figure it out and shift automatically for me. Now, many times what that means is I'll be pedaling along, and if I'm in a situation when I think the gear should change, I'm pedaling, I pause for a second, I hear zzz, it changes the gears, and then I keep pedaling. I don't have to do anything on my part, just a short little pause, and it picks that up and it shifts the gears to the better gear for that situation. I love it. So, as I started talking about a couple months ago, I love to talk about the fun factor. How is the bike to ride, right? It's utilitarian, it gets things done, but do you look forward to riding the bike? And I have to tell you, the Lectric ONE is an absolute joy to ride. I look forward to the commute or to the times that I get to get on this bike. And there's something about the way that it just functions and it goes, and it has a lot to do with that Pinion gear system, but also the form of the bike. Now, it looks a little bit small for me, maybe, you know, my leg's a little bit closer, but I'm not riding this bike for the exercise, right? It's the size, the weight balance, the responsiveness of it, the power of it. No derailleur to worry about for shifting gears, very low maintenance with that Gates carbon belt. The range is solid, and it's nearly perfect for a commuter. It's also fairly compact to be able to haul around on a train or get up and down stairs. There's just so much power in this bike with that low center of gravity, the ergonomic hand grips that are very comfortable, the front and rear lights, and that rear rack that's integrated for pannier bags and storage. Now, not everything is always perfect, right? There's a few things for improvement. Now, I have a pre-production model, so when it came, I had to put on the front fender, and it was a bit awkward to run the headlight cord through that front fender. Maybe the production model might have that fixed. I did leave a comment about that and making that a little bit easier process because there were some attachments that didn't need to be made that I had to make afterwards. It is a bit heavy at 55 pounds, but that's also kind of nice about it because it feels very dense and solid beneath me when I'm riding it. There also, as you can see here, there is no front or rear suspension, so it's a bit stiff over some rough terrain. Now, pricing. With that Pinion gear system I was talking about that Lectric advertises as a $1,500 value, maybe we'll say it's a $1,000 value. On other bikes, it's definitely multiple thousands of dollars. So this bike in the standard battery sells for $19.99, and then as I mentioned, $200 more, $21.99 for the one with the extended battery. You can also purchase lots of other accessories such as bell, mounts, the pannier bag there, a front rack if you want, and other things for the bike. In conclusion, is the Lectric ONE the right bike for you? You might look at me and you might say, well, that bike's a little bit small. He looks kind of like a circus clown at times. Maybe that's not the bike for him. It is the bike for me. I love riding the Lectric ONE. It has so much going for it with that Gates carbon belt and that Pinion shifting system, the ergonomic handles, and just the way it feels. It feels very, very solid. It's a perfect commuter for somebody like me. I've actually put more than 150 miles on this and I can't stop riding it. There's something about this bike that just draws me to it and I can't stop riding it, despite all the other bikes that I keep on testing. Although I am getting into mountain biking, so maybe I'll do mountain biking and the Lectric ONE. This bike is amazing, wonderful. If you can test ride it somewhere, do that. And I highly recommend it. Appreciate everybody watching this video. Please subscribe, share with family and friends, and leave comments. I love interacting with you. I'll answer any comment that's on there. Let's interact, let's share, let's subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful summer. May the mobile force be with you.